Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Take It Offline podcast, the Nick Foles Super Bowl MVP quarterback edition of the Take It Offline podcast. My name is Mike Ingrid, and today I'm joined by Mitch Prust. Mitch, how's it going, buddy?
Good, thanks for having me back.
No problem. We're recording this on Sunday, March 18th, the day after the St. Patty's Day. I didn't do anything that exciting for St. Patty's Day, but Mitch, it sounded from the talks earlier, it sounded like you had some fun adventures yesterday.
Yeah, I'm still wearing my green.
Yeah? So what all did you get into?
Well, friend Sam just moved in, like, very close to me. So no one really had any plans to do anything. I wasn't planning on doing anything big, but he just had a few people over, and one thing leads to another, and beer basically stacks up and turned into wanting to drink for a couple hours, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like the best plans are always made last minute like that, like these impromptu plans. I mean, you could sit here and plan stuff out for as long as you want to, but it'll probably never be as good as just like spontaneously doing something.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So
That's the best type of plan to make.
Occupied the whole day.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a good time. Did you get into anything else exciting? I guess today's Sunday, so we still got a little bit of the weekend left, but did you anything else fun Friday night or anything?
No, recently Fridays I've just been getting home and crashing. I feel like the whole week just takes a toll and I just pass out early.
It's a nice day just to unwind and kind of do your own thing. I agree with you on that. One thing that I did want to bring up before we get into things is my coffee. My Lent sacrifice of coffee, it finally ended. I had to give in. The daylight savings thing just really hit me hard. Like waking up in the dark, like was just not doing good things for like me being awake at all when I go to work every day. And I tried to make it the first few days, like just drinking tea or whatever to see if I could get some caffeine in me to keep me awake. But it was just not doing the job. So you were with me in the kitchen that day, and I finally broke down and got coffee. And it was a top 3 cup of coffee I've ever had in my entire life. It was amazing, and I don't regret it for an instant.
I had to look away when you poured it, but you made it way longer than I would have.
I made it for, so I think that Ash Wednesday was on Valentine's Day, so I think I made it like a month, which that's a long time to go without coffee.
I gave up coffee for like a day once. I felt very proud of myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave up coffee for an extended period of time, like a few years ago. I don't know why I was able to do it then and I can't do it now, but coffee has just become part of my lifestyle at this point.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It is basically a lifestyle.
And sometimes
it's an addiction.
I was convinced, like, you could give me a cup of decaf coffee and it would probably still have the same effect for me. Like, I think it's like the placebo effect, where if I taste coffee, it's going to, like, energize me.
I've tried decaf, and for some reason, like, it doesn't fuel that addiction, I guess. So I can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah. They also make half-calf coffee, so it's like half caffeinated. I've never had that before. Have you had it?
No, I should, though.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice way to
I feel like I would just
out.
drink twice as many cups of coffee throughout the day.
Well, if you like the taste, then what's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's true, too. The minute that Starbucks makes half-calf... that's when it'll be all downhill for me. Well, let's jump into it. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's jump into some news and noteworthy topics. And a majority of these news and noteworthy topics today are given to me once again by Courtney Joyce. She was kind enough to send an email to the Take It Offline Pod Gmail account with some cool stories, so I'm going to bring up some of them because I thought they were really interesting. So the first one that she gave us was that BK, Mitch Burger King, is giving away Whopper severance packages.
Severance, like they fired a Whopper?
Well, I guess you could think about it that way.
I guess it's flame broiled, fired?
Well, I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So what they're doing is, if you go onto LinkedIn and you have to put this exact phrase, I got fired, I want a free Whopper, hashtag Whopper severance. If you put that onto LinkedIn, BK will find you, and then they will hook you up with a BK gift card.
Do you have to actually have been fired?
I think that they do look into it. Like, I think that they don't just like give it away to everyone, but just from reading the details of the article, like they look into it a little more, and I think that they just don't assume that, like, if you put it, you have to have gotten fired. Like, they're not just gonna give it to you just because you put that in the line. But the reason they're doing this is to try to make the connection between flame grilled, which is what the Whoppers are, and then being fired. Flame, fire, you get it?
I see what they did
Yeah.
there.
So they're trying to make that connection between flame grilled and fired. I think this is kind of cool. I can tell you that the last thing that I would be considering when I got fired was, how can I get a Whopper for free?
Hey, free food's always on my mind.
It is.
I don't need to
guess.
be fired for
yeah,
that.
that's true. But I just thought it was kind of funny. And the article also said that, like, since BK is already looking at your resume, since they're on LinkedIn, that they could potentially get you a job at BK, which I thought was kind of funny. But I don't know. I don't think I would. Does BK go to LinkedIn looking for, like, cashiers and cooks and stuff like that?
I don't know. I don't know how many people that work at Burger King actually use LinkedIn.
Potentially not, no. I don't know if that's really the right platform. I mean, like, if you want a job at Burger King, you just go there and, like, I go there semi-frequently, and you can see signs outside saying, like, now hiring and all that.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't even call them to see if they've got an opening. I would just walk in because it's Burger King. They're
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It just seems like one of those places you can walk in and get a job if
Or
there's
they
an
could,
opening.
they could potentially look at your resume and be like, why is this guy not owning several of other franchises?
Oh,
That could be it, too. I don't think that's the case, but always that possibility.
it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. I like to look on the bright side of life, Mitch. But
No.
anyway, yeah, if you get fired, just go on the LinkedIn and put, I got fired, I want a free Whopper, hashtag Whopper severance, and BK will hook you up.
I hope I don't need to do that.
I don't want to do that either. But there's the possibility that, get a free Whopper out of it.
It's always
It's not
a
all
brighter
bad.
side.
Not all bad. The next story that Courtney sent in was, and this one kind of freaked me out, and I'll tell you why. But it's the Alexa Dot. I believe it's the Dot. Are you familiar with Alexa?
I know of Alexa. I
Is
don't know
it-
the differences
Is it
between
a dot?
I have
I'm gonna
no
say
idea.
there's probably a dot.
Is that a
but-
small one?
Good question. I probably should have looked that up. But the Alexa Dot was laughing unprompted. So apparently there's this function that you could do with Alexa and say, like, hey, can you laugh? And then it'll just laugh. Like,
And it's like a creepy laugh. It's
Yeah.
not Alexa's voice either.
And I think so. Amazon is working on this. They've identified. Actually, when I was looking at the article that Courtney sent over, they had a couple videos showing, like, Alexa just, like, unprompted laughter. And if you were in an apartment in a house by yourself and your smart speaker just started laughing, that's when you just get out of that house, burn it to the ground, and then just forget about it. Forget about its existence. But I think that what's happening is, so the command used to be like, Alexa, laugh,
Uh-huh.
and then Alexa would laugh. But Amazon is working on changing the phrase to, Alexa, can you laugh? And then Alexa will say, sure, I can laugh, and then it'll laugh. But before, what would happen is you would say, Alexa, laugh, and then it wouldn't say anything, it would just start laughing. So what Amazon thinks is the problem is that Alexa is recognizing some type of, like, when people are talking, it is recognizing text as, like, something similar to saying, Alexa, laugh.
Okay.
And so that's what's causing, like, the unprompted laughter.
This reminds me of the Xbox 360. Do you remember those commercials?
Mhm.
I forget what the command is. I think it's just like Xbox on.
It's
or
Xbox
something.
on, yeah.
And the commercials were turning everyone's
Yeah.
Xbox on,
So, like, if you had an Xbox within, like, range of the TV,
which obviously you
everyone
do.
does, yeah, then every time the commercial came on, it would turn on people's Xbox. I had a similar issue one time. I was on my phone using Google for an extended amount of time, and there was a commercial on for Hey Google, and it was activating my phone every time that commercial came on, which I thought was, like, not good. Like, it was kind of bothering me because I was trying to do something on Google,
Yeah.
and then every time this commercial came on, which was like, felt like every commercial break of whatever show I was watching at the time, but every time it came on, it would like activate on my phone.
And people get worried about AI taking over, like the singularity event, and like machines are talking to each other through your TV
Yeah,
right now.
that's
great.
terrifying, but it's a thing that's happening. But I thought that was strange. I was kind of glad that Courtney brought this up because I recently got the Apple HomePod, and there's a certain command. I'm not going to say it because my HomePod is within listening range, but you could say this command and then you could tell the HomePod to do certain things. And I actually had this thought occur to me, like, because my bedroom's not too far away from the HomePod, that like one night I'm gonna wake up and like the HomePod is just blasting music and I won't have told it to do so. Like, what would I do? Obviously, I would punt the HomePod off the balcony.
I would too. I think that's very rational.
I think that's the only logical thing to do in that case.
I'm waiting for the HomePod to be able to make me a meal. If I wake up and I'm like, HomePod, make me, peanut butter and jelly or something like
Yeah.
that. That'd be such a great invention.
Well, I think that you could do that with Alexa. I don't know if you could do that with the HomePod yet, but like you could tell Alexa like order Domino's or something like that.
Ooh, so it can make food appear, but it won't
Yes,
assemble
it
it.
can't make food appear. Like, it can make food appear, but it cannot make it for you.
Okay, we'll get there one day.
Yeah, one day. That'll be a terrifying time because then you'll actually have AI in your house that can potentially kill you.
Yeah, if it's gonna operate a knife.
Yeah. 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 So that's interesting and scary. The good news though is that if you have Alexa Dot, Amazon's working on it. So they say.
Good luck.
Yeah. The next story that Courtney provided for us was that there was a new type of ice found on Earth. Oh, I should probably mention this. The BK story was from Adweek, the website Adweek. The Alexa story was from, we'll get back to you on that one. And the LA Times had this story about the new ice being discovered.
A new type of
New
ice.
type of
So
ice.
like not water ice.
Well, it is water
Water
ice.
ice. Okay.
So there's different, and I didn't know this before I read this article, there's different classifications of ice. So the ice that we're used to, I believe, is ice 1. So like whenever you drink like the regular drinking ice, or if you go ice skating, or any interaction you have with ice would be considered ice 1. And the new type of ice that was discovered was ice 7.
So there's already 6.
There's already 6.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. Yeah, there's 7 now, but there was 6 prior to this.
But if they're all the same material, all water ice, is it the density?
It is the density. So it's about how much it's has to deal with how much pressure is applied to the ice itself.
Okay.
So it changes the structure of the ice.
Right.
And this this is the first discovery of it. And the way that it was found was that scientists were scanning, I think it was for some type of carbon dioxide, a specific characteristic of carbon dioxide, and they were looking in diamonds, and they found that in one of the pores of a diamond that this ice was discovered.
I was just going to ask about diamonds because you mentioned the pressure, so it would make sense. Like diamonds are created by a ton of pressure. It would make sense that it's found in that diamond.
It was found in like the pore of a diamond. They found ice 7, but it's 1.5 times more dense than the ice that we typically deal with.
It seems pretty heavy.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I think that was like a very like small. Obviously, it was inside of a diamond, so we're not going to get like a big chunk of it or anything like that to be able to see what the difference is. I'm sure if you put it under like a microscope or something and looked at the makeup of it, you'd be able to tell that the breakup or the makeup of it is completely different.
So type 7 ice hail could probably punch a hole through your roof.
Oh yeah, with it being as dense as it is, yeah, none of your roofs are safe. It's just demolishing them. But the cool thing about this is that scientists did not think that there was any way for this to occur naturally on Earth. They thought that the only way that it could exist was in outer space.
where it's much colder. Where was the diamond that they
It was
found?
it was like embedded deep in the earth.
Okay.
So they found it that way. But they said that I don't know 100% of the details about like how they actually found the diamond itself, but they said that it would have had to have been to a point where like it was able to freeze, and that the pressure and the freezing altogether was able to create this new type of ice.
Interesting. So it's deep in the earth, but not deep enough that it's warm. So it's
Right.
got to
So
be
like
super
it's
pressurized
yeah,
and cold.
yeah. So there was the possibility that it was down far enough where it was getting pressurized, and as it rose, it was getting to the point where it was colder, and the pressure and the cold together was what made the ice 7 inside of the diamond. But I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's really neat that, like scientists did not think that it could occur naturally on Earth. But what does that mean? Like, is that good for us or bad for us?
I have no idea what it means. I wonder if a tardigrade survives on it.
What's that?
You haven't heard of a tardigrade?
No.
That's that,
Oh, is it that little bug? Like that
yeah.
tiny little bug?
It almost looks like a little pig or something, but it's like the most resilient creature in existence. And it can survive in space.
Huh. I don't know. I'm just really curious as to, like, does this mean anything? Does it, like, is there other things that are on Earth that scientists think could only exist in space? Like aliens?
I'm wondering who owns that diamond now. That'd make it one heck of a wedding ring.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that no one's selling that diamond. Although, if you put it, I don't know, it's ice, right? So it could melt, right?
Right, but it's still the diamond that found
Yeah.
this ice.
Ah, that's true.
And it would have the little void
Yeah.
from that ice.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. Science.
Science.
Did that aliens guy? The guy, was it from the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever? He has a little wacky hair. It's that meme of him going aliens.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Oh,
That I know of.
well, this is awkward. So yeah. So those 3 stories were given to us by Courtney. Thanks, Courtney.
Thanks, Courtney.
And the last thing we're going to bring up, it would be a travesty if we did not bring up this, especially after talking about the discovery of a new type of ice and breakthroughs in science. But we lost Stephen Hawking this week.
Yeah.
Big. And I was in the kitchen at work the other day. It was the day that he passed away. And there was a scientist that was talking about.
Michio Kaku.
Yeah. He was in there talking on the Today Show about Stephen Hawking, and like I didn't even put 2 and 2 together what it meant. But unfortunately, we lost Stephen Hawking to like a 50-year battle with ALS.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, which like in and of itself is an impressive feat. In addition to everything else that Stephen Hawking has done in his lifetime.
I actually just listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast, Star Talk. One of the last episodes they just did, he interviewed Stephen Hawking on it. So it was pretty interesting to hear about him and just ALS. Basically, they didn't really talk about ALS, but they talked about his mind. He's like, if I could get rid of my body and keep my mind going, I would.
Yeah. It's sad.
I thought it was pretty coincidental that he happened to pass away on Pi Day. Like, that just seems so appropriate for him. The number it goes on for infinity. Probably like his legacy on Earth.
Yeah, it's very, very fitting.
Yeah.
So what, Stephen Hawking was, 72? 72?
I don't remember.
Yeah. But he definitely left a lasting legacy behind him, which is, good for all of us.
Discovered Hawking radiation.
Yeah.
It's named after him.
Yeah. Wait, what? Hawking radiation is named after Stephen Hawking?
Yeah, it's called Stephen. Yeah.
The more you know. So yeah. Anything else on any of those points before we get into some fun stuff?
I'm ready for fun stuff.
I like fun stuff. So, topic of the week. I thought this week we could do, Rudy and I last week on episode 8 talked about how you are a cinephile. And I mean that in the kindest most endearing way possible.
I took it in the nicest, non-creepiest way that could be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you put file after something, it doesn't
Yeah.
really have like a good connotation to it.
Yeah, it sounds kind of off.
Yeah, but cinephile in a good way. Maybe, what's a better way to say cinephile? Movie
Buff, I guess.
enthusiast?
I like enthusiast.
Yeah, we'll go with enthusiast.
I get
So,
enthused.
so scratch cinephile, we'll go with movie enthusiast.
I'll take it.
Okay. So you're a movie enthusiast,
Yes.
which is a secret to no one who knows you even remotely well.
I hide it well.
So you tell me about your movie enthusiast experience. Why do you like movies so well?
Oh man. I I don't know. I get lost in the story, honestly. I like seeing other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
It's the most visual way to actually experience someone else's life without having to actually go through those hardships yourself.
In terms of like the story itself, or like the directors and all the actors that are in it. Like how do you mean?
Well, let's use Moonlight as an example. It won Best Picture last year, not this year. It's a story about some kid growing up in Miami, and he grows up being bullied, and he basically like learns himself, finds out that he's gay, and by the end of the movie, he's basically like a drug kingpin. It's his transition through three different phases of his life, and I'm like, I grew up around the area, but clearly I have a very different life than this guy.
Yeah.
But it put me in his place for just 2 hours, and I feel like it opens my eyes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Basically, just living through their experiences.
No, I agree with you, and it's I think a movie that I've talked to you about quite often is a movie called Boyhood, where it literally was shot over what
12 years.
12 years, which that's ridiculous in and of itself. Is that a movie has there ever been a movie in production for 12 years?
Probably in production limbo, not actually being filmed
Yeah.
the whole time.
But that movie was literally about a boy's journey from boyhood to adulthood.
And it was us. Like when I was
Yeah.
watching that movie, he's watching Dragon Ball Z or he's listening to Blink 182, whatever was relevant at that time.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go back and date it because it was that time
Yeah.
when they filmed it.
Yeah, which is nuts. Like, it's hindsight could have been horrific for them for that movie, because like they could have shot something that at the time they thought was extremely relevant, but whenever you watch it 12 years later, you're like, oh, that was just completely insignificant for the time. Like you had to be aware of what was going to be long lasting.
Well, I've heard that they filmed like hundreds of hours of footage for that movie, so they probably went back through and pieced together what was relevant and what makes a cohesive story.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of unused footage there.
I think that movie should be celebrated for what it did. Like just the level of detail and just the journey that movie. If you haven't seen Boyhood, it's what, like a 3-hour movie, which
Almost, yeah.
it's a decently long movie, but it's worth watching. Like I loved that movie. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it like goes through a different. It's not like the main character goes from point A to point B. It's just him growing up,
Yeah.
and he might even be the same person at the end of it. But
Well,
it's the
and
journey.
I don't think that this really spoils anything, but a typical movie will go through like a sense of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie didn't really have that. It was just essentially like a documentary walking through this boy's life, like year after year after year.
Yeah, it really was.
Because I was expecting like something really bad to happen that was gonna like completely change this boy's life, but that didn't happen. Like you were just basically watching the story of a boy grow up.
And it wasn't just about him either. The parents were pretty vital to that story, and it was showing what your parents' relationship could transition throughout those 12 years.
Yeah. But yeah, that just kind of speaks to the point about the journey of like watching a movie and getting a lot out of it as far as the experience.
Mhm.
But so you've actually been working on something,
I have.
and let's talk about that a little bit. What have you been working on?
All right, so I'll bring this back to your podcast actually.
Okay.
'Cause you started this podcast at the beginning of the year, kind of like a resolution.
Yes.
It was something that you wanted to do, and I had something on the back burner from what I wanted to do as well. So What I've been working on, I guess, I actually completed the first draft of a screenplay.
Okay.
Because what I like about movies, I like the stories. I feel like it starts from the story. Like my mentality is that you can make a serviceable movie out of a bad screenplay, maybe. But if you've got a great screenplay, you can make a great movie. I feel like it all starts from the story. So I spent most of January and even December, like winter break, brainstorming ideas and tried to come up with a first draft of a screenplay just for fun.
And how many pages is a typical screenplay?
So it should be 1 page per minute of screen time. And it's written in a way, the formatting of it is, it should take you about a minute to read a page. It should take about a minute on screen to represent that page. So if a movie's 2 hours, it would be 120 pages. So you adjust it based on that. I think mine ended up at 100, about 100.
So like a screenplay, like each page of the screenplay will have like dialogue, but it'll also have descriptive features as well, like setting the scene. Is that right?
Right. The thing that I really enjoy about screenplays, like I actually read them as a hobby. It's an abbreviated story, so I don't have to sit down and invest myself in 300, 500 pages of a novel. It's very quick to get through. They're free online. They're very visual. And there's the challenge of you're limited based on the time of the film. So every word on the page has to be there for a reason. You can't add fluff. You can't add extra description because it wouldn't translate to the screen. So I appreciate that like every word in there has to be meticulously planned.
Yeah. So like kind of what you said, there's no fluff in it. There's intentional meaning behind everything that's on that page. Yeah.
There should be at least, yeah.
So you finished up a screenplay.
I did.
So I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
We'll get into them. But what is your screenplay about?
So here's where my ulterior agenda comes in. Last podcast you talked about Star Wars and how influenced you were by George Lucas and made you think about wanting to be a director. My dream job when I was growing up was to be a screenwriter. Like I've got a lot of friends that went to film school and they actually did this stuff, and it was just kind of a pipe dream for me. But so what's my story about though? I like stories that are relevant to current times, and you know me, obviously I'm a fan of science, and I was trying to promote kind of like if you can influence someone enough with a certain movie, maybe they'll get into that educational field because of it. I've seen so many interviews with archaeologists and they're like, okay, why'd you want to be an archaeologist? I loved Indiana Jones. I know it's different, but it got me into it. So I wanted to come up with a science idea that if someone saw that, and maybe not just this one screenplay, like I'd want to work on more, but if someone saw it, I'd want to promote like STEM, going to learn about science and technology and engineering in school. So go ahead.
No, I think that's really cool that and that your intention was to make something that you enjoy, but also that something that could potentially inspire someone else to do something. You know, I think that that's really cool. And I think that in hindsight with a movie like, you know, you talked about the archaeologists and like Indiana Jones and stuff, I don't know if that was ever, you know, the intent of Spielberg.
I doubt
anyone like that they were like, this movie is going to cause people to want to get into archaeology.
But
so
it did.
That's what's cool about movies, though, is that it can inspire you to do something completely different than what you had originally anticipated. You know, like if you would have asked me if I would have ever thought that I wanted to go like into like directing a movie or something, or if I ever thought that would even be an interest of mine before watching Star Wars or anything, I'd have been like, no, you're out of your mind. But you know, like that's when you fall in love with something or you become enamored by something that you really enjoy, that tends to happen. But I think that's really cool that that's kind of like your intention, or one of your intentions behind doing this. So like bringing something, a relevant topic to the forefront, but also, you know, seeing how it could apply for, you know, other people as well and what they might get out of it. So what's your plan with this then? Is it for you? Is it you gonna send this away to someone to get it looked at, or what's the plan?
No, right now it is for me. It was the first one that I've written a feature length. I used to write smaller ones in high school. I was in a film class in high school. My plan is to write 2 more, hopefully by the end of the year. It's kind of a lot, and I haven't done anything in the past couple months because I finished this one in January.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to finish 2 more first drafts and then come back and take an unbiased look at the first one. And I'll be a little bit more disconnected from it and know, you know, be unbiased and be able to correct myself and be like, okay, this needs to change. This doesn't work. And then maybe then, I know that there's different places in Pittsburgh where people can critique your work. So I could just run it past someone else and see what they think.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, and kind of like in the same way for me with this podcast, you have to do something for you every now and then. Like, I'm doing this podcast for me, and if other people enjoy it, that's just a plus, you know? And I'm glad that other people are enjoying it. But, you know, like, you have to be able, like, there's some people who have jobs and they just do these jobs because it's a way of living, you know? And whenever you start doing something for yourself, that's what makes it enjoyable. So, like, something like that, where you did the first draft for you, you know, just as an accomplishment, being like, yeah, I did this, you know, I think that's a big step, you know, like the fact that you enjoyed it, that you don't necessarily want anything big out of it right now. I think that, you know, that's kind of like a plus and a benefit to doing it.
I don't think you could ever, especially for anything in the entertainment industry, you could never expect to have anything come out of it.
Yeah.
So you really just need to enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Because I think that that's how, you know, you even see like musicians or bands or even like people in the movie industry, they start catering things to what the fans want to see. And
the fan service, that's when it starts to degrade.
Yeah,
basically.
that's whenever it starts to degrade. And, you know, people, this kind of is a little off topic, but one of the things that I really enjoy the company Nintendo for, Nintendo obviously made the Nintendo Switch and various other products, is that they, I don't want to say that they don't listen to their fans, but they kind of don't in the sense that they don't really give in to what the fans want. Like every now and then you'll get like a little bone like from the fans, like the Nintendo will give out something that the fans have wanted, but in reality, Nintendo gives out things to the fans that they didn't know that they wanted, in a way that they're doing research in other aspects and trying to come up with something new and creative that they enjoy doing, but does not cater to the fans, but the fans enjoy it anyhow, if that makes sense.
If you try and cater to everyone, you probably don't actually connect with most people.
Yeah.
Versus if you try and make just something very good the way that you want it, it'll really resonate with maybe a couple of people, but that's all you need.
Yeah, because if your heart's not in it, then you're not going to make something that you really enjoy that is the best quality of what you wanted it to be, you know? So I think that's awesome that you're doing that, though.
Thank you.
You know?
I did kind of sidestep the question. I just realized that. You asked me what it was about, and I went on to what my intentions were behind it.
You told me it was like STEM and science related, but yeah, if you want to go into a little more detail on that, that's kind of cool too.
Well, that one, I also really like magical realism, in the sense that like a lot of TV shows will take this one aspect, or all these superhero movies, it'll be like, okay, this person has this one unique thing. Now like learn about them for 2 hours. So I'm seriously like interested in science. I love movies. I was like, okay, well, what if you're 25 years old, and I guess I'll look at it from like the girlfriend's perspective in this story. The main character is a guy, but his girlfriend's a big part of his life, and she finds out one day that he's able to teleport. And it's like, okay, why have you been hiding this from me? How does this happen? What do you do with it? And I tried to explore in fun ways how that would even physically be possible, and all the like what if scenarios behind like what happens if someone could teleport, what would happen with their life. And especially if that's just what they've always been able to do, it's normal to them.
Yeah. So you took like a realistic approach to this, as like if this was something that existed, how would this person handle it? Like that type, I guess, would you call it a responsibility, or like that type of ability or something like that, trying to figure out like how they would live with that in like the 21st century in like realistic conditions.
And there's a lot of different roads you can take with that. And I feel like every road that I went down was like, okay, it would force them into the military, or for some reason, like the government would try to exploit this. So I tried to steer away from that. Like, what if someone tried to keep it really private and didn't share it with anyone? What would they actually use it for?
I think that's kind of cool. And I guess not in like a similar way, but in a kind of similar way with like that type of take on it. I mean, we're oversaturated with superhero movies in 2018.
I
Right?
agree.
Like the amount that we get per year is a lot.
Unfortunately, some of them are still very good. Like
I mean,
Black
a lot of
Panther.
them are very good, and I will go see every single one, and I will probably enjoy every single one
Yeah,
to a level. To a level.
There's so many. I hate that I like them, but I
Yeah,
do like them.
yeah. It's just like it's kind of like me in Walking Dead. Like I'm not sure that I even enjoy Walking Dead anymore, but I watch it because like I don't even know what season they're on, 7, 8 at this point.
A million.
I'm so invested in it that I have to see how it ends. Like I've spent so many years of my life watching it, like that one season when it was good. But in the same way with like these superhero movies, like you have to be like you're already invested in it. You might as well see it through, and it's not bad. It's just like these are not the greatest movies that will ever be, but they're good. They're entertaining. But kind of looking at the realistic approach though, like Logan came out last year.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, very good. I called that the best movie of 2017.
It did get nominated for best screenplay.
Yeah, see, there we go. But like, I think that took like a completely different approach and kind of gave you that realistic look at if someone was living with something like this, like Logan was, like how would he handle it?
You know why that was such a good story though?
Why is that?
The director James Mangold, he also wrote that one. He looked at it from the perspective like he told the studio he wants to do what he wants to do. He doesn't want to be forced to appease everyone. And he also did math. He's like, if you look at these superhero movies that are coming out now, especially with the new Avengers trailer out, like how many characters are in that movie? How long is that movie? How much time do I have to develop each of these characters? And I know that these Marvel ones aren't standalone anymore, but it still needs to be a standalone film. You don't have to see all other 90 of them to make sense. So he took that approach and was like, I want to invest as much time as possible in this one character and show this one snapshot of his life, which I thought he did very effectively.
I thought he did an excellent job on it. And that's kind of some of my favorite movies. And some of my favorite movies are the ones that, like, there's not a lot of characters in it, but the ones that are in it, they develop them so well that you really appreciate those characters. Like Logan was one of them where by the end of that movie, like all the characters that are in that movie, you like understand almost everything about them, like the motives, like who they are in that movie, how they play a bigger role in like the universe. But I thought that they did an excellent job with that, which made me really invested in that movie.
Absolutely. And they developed them so well that when they're presented with conflict, you kind of already know what they're going to do, but then there's still that internal struggle of like, what will they actually do?
Yeah.
And in Logan, there's that scene at the farmhouse. Like that was so dramatic to watch.
Oh yeah.
With the family there.
Yeah, yeah. But anything else? Anything else you want to talk about with your script?
I mean, do you have any questions for
I
me?
don't know. This is an exciting thing for you, and I'm happy to see where this takes you. You know, but I think for now, we could probably move on. Is there any
Okay.
place that you have it online that if anyone wants to go find it, or are you just kind of keeping it to yourself for right now?
No, I mean, if someone wants to read it, I just ask me for it. I'm willing to share. I did force my girlfriend and another friend to read it and give me their thoughts.
Yeah.
But I didn't copyright it or anything, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of like hesitant to put it anywhere.
In case someone will reach out there and snag it.
Yeah, even if it's a bad screenplay, maybe they'll be like, "Hey, that's kind of a cool idea" or something. Like you just
Yeah.
never want that to
Yeah, I
happen.
gotcha. Yeah, that's cool though. I'm really excited for you. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, thanks. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens, I guess.
In 5 years, when Mitch is a big screenwriter.
No. Most screenplays, even if it gets sold, they just go unpublished and stacks up on someone's desk.
You can
Studios will buy them just so that the other studio doesn't make it.
so that like they take away the ideas from other people.
Yep.
That's kind of rotten.
It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that was cool. I'm glad that you shared that with us. So now that we have established that you are a movie enthusiast cinephile,
Enthusiast.
enthusiast, I want to test that knowledge. Okay.
I'm scared of this, but go ahead.
I to be honest with you, I don't know what to expect yet either. I looked through some of these and I knew the answers to some. I
Okay.
wouldn't say that I like to watch movies. I wouldn't call myself an enthusiast, but I enjoy watching movies. Um, but I did know the answers to some of these. So I'm
Okay.
going to do a little bit of movie trivia with you. I found this website called trivia.fyi,
Just
and
for
one of
your
the
information.
categories was movie trivia. I will say, and Mitch, we talked about this before we came on the podcast. I'm a big football guy, NFL guy, and I looked at the football trivia on here, and the first 3 out of 4 questions that I got to were all New England Patriots based. So this site is a little bit skeptical, in my opinion. You know,
Okay. We'll see if they try and cater
Yeah.
towards a certain movie.
we'll see. We'll see here. Are you ready? Are you mentally prepared?
No, but let's do
All
it.
right, let's get into this. There is no like specific order to these. Like you just kind of cycle through questions.
Okay.
So as far as difficulty, I don't know at what point they will get easier or more difficult than anything. So
Okay.
just as a note. So the first question, we'll go through maybe like 10 of these or so.
Okay.
Sound like a plan? In the 1997 American science fiction comedy Men in Black, which actor played Agent K?
Tommy Lee Jones.
It is Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, that was a gimme.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think
I
everyone.
grew up in the 90s. Of
Yeah.
course I've seen that
I think
movie.
everyone knows that Tommy Lee Jones was Agent K. I did not know that came out in '97. I would have been
Yeah.
6.
That was first grade. I got a CD player and the Men in Black soundtrack
Yeah.
for Christmas that year.
The Will Smith Men in Black song.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
good song. Good song. Next question. What is the favorite food of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh, it's pizza.
It is pizza.
These
Give me
are-
some got these softballs.
Yeah, you're letting me feel good about setting me up for failure.
Yeah, so pizza is the answer.
I do love those original 90s films too.
The live action
Oh,
ones.
they're so good.
Where they're in the costumes.
Vanilla Ice is in the second one.
Yeah. Much better than Michael Bay's adaptation.
Oh, God.
Which is
Yeah.
so bad.
Michael Bay is a guy that I just can't get into most of his stuff. That's trying to service everyone.
And my issue with Michael, it's not even an issue. I could watch a movie and not know that it's a Michael Bay movie going in, but by the time I'm done, I'm like, that's a Michael Bay movie. Because he has a certain way that he does movies.
He's kind of got that J.J. Abrams, like, you need the lens flare in every single scene, and it's got to look like burnt orange, whatever filter he makes on his.
There has to be approximately 20,000 explosions
Yeah.
in a Michael Bay movie.
He actually recycles those explosions. If you watch Transformers versus, like, I think it's The Island, that 2005 one, whenever that came out, he'll take certain scenes with, like, this car going down, there's a car crash and it rolls over. He'll put them in the same, like, his other movies, and he'll just, like, CG over them. So he reuses the same footage.
It's kind of smart, but kind of lazy at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. What Michael Bay does? What Transformers, Bad Boys,
He did Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon.
Yeah. So all of those have like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new ones.
Well, he produced them, right? I don't think he directed those.
Right. Did he put? Yeah, I think you might be right about that. The shocking thing was that Megan Fox was associated with another Michael Bay movie
Yeah.
because of the falling out that they had in Transformers.
Well, I don't know if he was trying to avoid a lawsuit or something there. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. But yeah, so yes, getting back to it, pizza is the favorite food of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Okay. Jason Voorhees is the main antagonist in which movie franchise?
Oh, that would be like Freddy versus Jason. That's not Freddy Krueger.
It's like there's a
the
specific,
horror.
there's a specific movie series that Jason Voorhees is associated with.
Yeah, I'm honestly not the biggest horror movie fan. If you make a good one, it's great. But I'm trying to think. Was he Nightmare on Elm Street?
That was Freddy.
Freddy.
Yeah, there's like 3 big ones.
Right.
There's the Halloween one that has Michael Myers in it, and then there's Nightmare on Elm Street that has Freddy Krueger, and then there is
Jason, and I'm totally blanking right now.
Friday the 13th.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's in the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah, I never actually went back and watched all those like classic horror ones.
So some of them are good. I haven't seen all of them either, but like that's what like the basis for a lot of them come like a lot of the movies we have now comes from is those ones obviously like the central themes that we have now, and they're still even remaking some of those older movies. Like
Yeah.
I think that so Jamie Lee
Curtis.
Curtis was in the first Halloween movie, and they're remaking the Halloween movie, and she's coming back to play in that movie, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I have actually seen that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a tangent here and just plug, if you want a good horror movie, this one came out a couple years ago. It's called It Follows. Have you seen that?
I have seen It Follows. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool concept.
I was a huge fan of that movie, and after the fact, I looked it up, and I'm like, wow, this is this guy's first movie, and he went to my school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that why you like it even more?
I like it even more now that I know that, but I looked it up because I liked the movie enough to look it up.
I would. Yeah. So yeah, two votes of approval for that movie. I definitely like that one as well. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Oh, this is right up your alley.
Okay.
Who directed the 2018 superhero film Black Panther?
Oh, Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
Big fan of his. That was only his third movie. So
Yeah.
he's doing good things.
What? So Fruitvale Station,
Fruitvale Station,
Creed, and now Black Panther.
All with Michael B.
All
Jordan.
with Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, because you had said about because we talked about Black Panther and how we both really enjoyed it, and it was excellent. That's like probably a top 5 Marvel Cinematic Universe movie for me. I think that I enjoyed it that well. But we talked about Ryan Coogler offline. We took it offline to take it offline podcast. But you had mentioned that he did Creed and that he did Fruitvale Station, and I went back and watched Creed. I had never seen it before, and it was excellent.
It was.
It was so good.
I rewatched it that same weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, and I am a fan of the Rocky movies, and I was a fan of that movie, and also it was kind of like the perfect marriage of good movie and good Rocky movie. Like it was a good Rocky movie, and it was also a good movie. You know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know.
Since we're on this topic of Black Panther, though, what I was mentioning earlier about like trying to promote STEM, you know how the movie starts in Oakland? Disney is actually funding, I don't know if it's a school or just an educational center, but they are building a STEM center for children in Oakland because of that movie.
Because of Black Panther?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Kind of like, if you're in Oakland, that makes you feel like you could be the Black Panther, which is kind of cool. I'm sure for the kids, they probably love that idea.
So they're probably inspired by him. They want to be him. Then they would go to that school and actually get a very good education.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan.
So Disney's doing that?
I believe Disney's
That's
funding
really
it.
cool. Good job, Disney. Anything on Ryan Coogler before me? Anything else before me? I have not seen Fruitvale Station yet.
You should check it out. Like I was talking about living in someone else's shoes. That one, it's hard hitting. It's not the happiest ending, but it's based on a real story, and like you're just so invested in the character by the end of the movie. So if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it.
I mean, at this point, I'm a huge fan of Michael B. Jordan. Like, he was amazing in Black Panther, and he was excellent in Creed.
He stole the scenes in Black Panther.
Yeah, oh yeah, he did. He was like, yeah. If to those listening, if you have not seen Black Panther yet, run, don't walk to the theater to go see Black Panther because it was excellent. Next question.
Okay.
Jim Carrey and Renee Zellweger starred in what comedy film released in 2000 about a cop with dissociative identity disorder?
Me, Myself, and Irene. I've only seen that once, though.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Is it good?
I remember it being okay. Like, it came out in 2000, so I was only 10 when it came out. So it's been... I didn't see it then. It's been a while since I've seen it, though.
Would you recommend seeing it?
I honestly couldn't say. It's been so long.
It's been too long.
I don't remember.
I'm not a huge Jim Carrey guy.
Ooh,
There's some things that he's in that I enjoy, but like, I don't know, his style of comedy, I don't know. Just not huge on it.
All right, his style of comedy is one thing, but his dramas, he's phenomenal.
What other... is Me, Myself, and Irene a drama?
No, that's
a comedy.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I love that movie. Talk about good writing. Like, I love Charlie Kaufman, the guy that wrote that. He's got really inspirational podcasts too.
Okay.
and Truman Show.
I've heard good things about the Truman Show, but I've never seen it.
I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix, so that's definitely worth a watch too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think of there's some funny stuff like Dumb and Dumber is obviously pretty funny.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura, The Mask, that stuff's pretty funny. I don't know. Maybe I do like Jim Carrey. Huh.
He's also a very good artist.
Yeah, I watched Jerry Seinfeld has something.
Oh, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Yeah, he has it on Netflix called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And one of the first episodes is he picks up Jim Carrey, and Jerry Seinfeld goes into Jim Carrey's house, and Jim Carrey has a room that's bigger than my apartment that is just paintings, just all the paintings that he's done.
Yeah,
which is impressive.
There's a free documentary that's only 20 minutes long or 20 or 30 minutes online about Jim Carrey's art. He's very good.
Yeah. Well, he's done acting now, right? I think he's retired from acting.
I don't know. Is he?
I would think so. I think that he just wants to be out of it.
Probably
for now.
That's what it seems.
Yeah. I guess he did the new Dumb and Dumber movie a few years ago.
There was a new
Dumb
one.
and Dumber.
Remember Dumb and Dumber?
2? Dumb and Dumber.
There was a
2.
Dumb and Dumber 2.
It was spelled like T-O too, though,
yeah.
not like T-W-O. Yeah. I watched it. It was pretty funny. If you like the first one and don't like the second one, then you'll like the third one.
I think that should be most people that enjoyed those movies.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. In the movie The Terminator,
okay,
what is the name of the company that created Skynet?
I was about to jump in and say Skynet, but the company that created Skynet.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've seen Terminator 2 a few times. I've only seen the first Terminator once.
Skynet isn't all of them, right? Yes.
Yeah.
But who made Skynet?
Ooh, I honestly don't remember.
See, I can't remember either. I'm looking at this answer, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's either Cyberdyne.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Cyberdyne?
Yeah.
Okay, Cyberdyne Systems.
Okay.
Created Skynet.
What was your second?
Cyberdyne.
Guess? No, I'm pretty sure it's Cyberdyne.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good movies.
Yeah, started James Cameron's career off on a good
Oh,
foot.
yeah.
Well, he did the second one.
Which is probably the best of the three.
Yeah. Well, there's, I guess, the 3 with Arnold, which...
The 3 original ones. Was it 1, and then 2, and then 3, which would...
3 came out years
2003.
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 1, 2, a big gap, 3, Salvation,
Genesis. And Genesis, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed Genesis just because it has Amelia Clarke in it. I'm a big Amelia Clarke fan. Then
I never saw Genesis.
it was pretty good. I liked it because Amelia Clarke was in it, but
Yeah.
Arnold also comes back for that one too.
Yeah. That was the one where they had the CG version of him younger again.
No, that was Salvation.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure it was
It
Genesis.
was, yeah. But there's there's also a CG version of his Terminator in Salvation as well.
Yeah. Towards the end, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Cyberdyne Systems.
Man, what am I, 3 for 5? That's barely passing.
We'll do 2 more here, and then we'll call it a day. You're doing all right.
I'm getting there.
Okay, I'll give you a layup.
Okay.
Emma Watson is known for playing which character in Harry Potter?
Hermione.
Hermione, yes.
I wanted to say the Potter Puppet Pals, but I would butcher that.
Oh, I forgot about Potter Puppet Pals. I used to watch this in school all the time. On my computer. Not as part of the class.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That was really funny.
Snape.
All
Snape.
I mean, are you a Harry Potter fan?
Yeah,
They're good.
I read them all.
They're good movies.
J.K. Rowling promoted literacy.
In what way?
A lot of people didn't know how to read until Harry Potter came out, and they learned to read just so they could read Harry Potter.
Wow.
Worldwide.
Wow.
So she single-handedly promoted a lot of literacy.
She created the story so good that people wanted to read it.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And there's actually a screenplay. You've probably never heard of The Blacklist, right?
No.
So every year there's a list of the best unproduced screenplays in Hollywood. And a lot of them just means they haven't been produced yet.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good movies that come out of these lists. And there's one on there right now. I think it's called When Lightning Strikes. And it's about J.K. Rowling starting to write Harry Potter and how she got inspired to do it. Because she was like broke, a broke single mother when she wrote the first one. So if and when that gets made in a few years, I'm looking forward to it.
That would be really cool. Do you have a favorite book?
Of
or
them?
movie?
Favorite book is probably the 7th.
You like the 7th one?
Yeah. Favorite movie could be Prisoners of Azkaban.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because of Alfonso Cuarón, the director of that
Oh,
one.
okay.
The guy that did Gravity did the third Harry Potter. And Children of Men.
I think my favorite is the book and the movie are the same.
Okay.
It's Prisoner of Azkaban, for sure.
Okay.
I love them both. And I liked Gary Oldman
Oh, yeah.
as Sirius. I thought was fantastic in that movie.
Gary Oldman's just good at everything.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Alrighty. Last question. Are you ready? I'm going to pick a difficult one for you here.
Okay.
I'll look through some of these. Okay. Taking some time here.
Setting me up for failure.
I am setting you up for failure. I'm trying to give you like not an easy one, but not like a really difficult one.
Well, I think that's fair. You gave me a layup, so.
I did give you a layup. Okay. We'll test your Disney knowledge here.
Oh,
Are
boy.
you ready for
Okay.
this?
No.
In Disney's The Little Mermaid,
Mm-hmm.
you don't seem pleased.
No, go on.
What is the name of the human that Ariel falls in love with?
John Smith. I don't know.
Prince Eric.
Prince Eric.
Have you seen The Little Mermaid?
I saw it in the 90s.
I feel like I've seen all of these Disney animated movies at least like once. Like I feel like I have, but I don't know if like I can remember anything about them. Like these are probably movies I watched when I was a kid. You know.
Here's a fun fact about The Little Mermaid that I think is going to get you riled up.
Okay.
I read this fact a few years ago, actually, but The Little Mermaid is closer, like the day that that movie came out, is closer to the moon landing than it is to today.
How can it be closer to something that didn't exist?
Well, there's a day where we thought it happened,
Right.
whether it did or not. It's closer to that day than now.
Than
now. Like the years between 1969 and when The Little Mermaid came out is fewer years than when The Little Mermaid came out
When
to today.
did The Little Mermaid come out?
I don't actually know the year.
Let me look here.
Doesn't that make you feel old?
That does make me 1989?
See, I was born in 1990.
I would have said that came out in the mid 90s.
Yeah, me too.
1989? Yuck. Yeah, it doesn't make me feel really good. Oh my.
So it was only 20 years after the supposed moon landing.
Wow. That was only 12. Wow. That's ridiculous. Ugh. That doesn't make me feel really good.
I'm sure there's a lot of movies that was true for, but when I read that, I'm like, wow, that one really, like,
Well, because
who
that's a
didn't
movie,
grow up on Disney?
Well, that's a movie that you associate with your childhood,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And now we just are really old, so it's whatever. Well, Mitch, do you feel like you have a... Did that test your knowledge of movies?
It told me what I didn't know about very common movies.
You need to watch your Disney movies, for one.
Uh-huh.
And you need to go watch your scary movies, your Friday the 13th.
If it's a good movie, I will see it. I don't care what genre it is. If it's a chick flick and it's a good movie, I'll see it.
Yeah.
But because of that, it's hard to go back and look at all of the movies that predated now when you're...
Oh, yeah.
There's just too many movies to watch.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was fun, Mitch. I think we're going to wrap things up here. So
Okay.
we're going to do some closing thoughts. I will pass it to you to start off with some closing thoughts.
Pass it to me. Thanks again for having me on. I hope I didn't bore anyone to death with my talk of movies on this one.
No, this is fun. I like this. It's
Yeah.
nice to have a serious one every now and then, talk about some good stuff.
I feel like this movie discussion is going to continue offline to take it offline.
Oh yes, we will take this offline to take it offline podcast. Yeah. But my closing thoughts are what they always are. Just wanted to take the time to plug the show. You can find the Take It Offline podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube. If you go there, you can subscribe to get updated to whenever the new episode comes out. And then if you want to leave me a review, leave me 5 stars, do all that good stuff while you're on those platforms, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're like Courtney and want to suggest some cool things for us to talk about on the show, you can listen to me. You can send me an email at takeitofflinepod@gmail.com.
Try and incept him with ideas to talk about.
Yes, yeah, give me some good things to talk about. And you can also find the podcast page on Facebook by searching for the Take It Offline podcast. And that's pretty much all I got. Mitch, anything you want to say before we end the show?
I think that's a good closing point.
Alrighty, guys. Well, until next time, I will see you later.
Excuse me, what's your name? Can I pick you out your balls and break your chains? Maybe pick the life and pick your brain and then stop. I said, excuse me, what's your name? Can I pick you out your balls and break your chains? Maybe pick the life and pick your brain and then stop.